Hello, my little dears. Are you all tucked in and cozy? Good. Tonight, Grandma has a very special story for you, all about a beautiful princess and some very kind friends. Let's begin. Once upon a time, in a faraway kingdom, there lived a lovely princess named Snow White. Oh, she was a picture. Her skin was as white as freshly fallen snow, her lips as red as sweet cherries, and her hair as black as a raven's wing. But the most beautiful thing about her was her kind heart. Everyone in the kingdom loved her. Well, almost everyone. Her stepmother, the queen, was very beautiful but very proud. She had a special magic mirror, and every single day she would stand before it and ask, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" And the mirror, knowing the queen's temper, would always say, "You are, O queen, the fairest of them all." This made the queen very happy. But as Snow White grew up, her kindness made her beauty shine even brighter. One morning the queen asked her mirror the same old question, but this time the mirror's answer was different. It said, "Snow White is the fairest of them all." Oh, the queen turned green with envy. She called her royal huntsman and commanded him to take Snow White deep into the forest and, well, to make sure she never came back. But the huntsman had a good heart. When he saw Snow White's sweet, innocent face, he just couldn't do it. With tears in his eyes, he knelt down and said, "Run away, dear princess. Run deep into the forest and never ever return to the castle." Poor Snow White was so frightened, but she ran as fast as her legs could carry her. She ran and ran deeper and deeper into the woods until she stumbled upon a tiny, charming little cottage. It was the cutest house you've ever seen, with a little door, little windows, and inside 7 little chairs around a little table and 7 little beds all in a row. The cottage was a bit messy, so Snow White, with her helpful nature, started to clean. She dusted and swept and tidied everything up, and then, feeling tired, she curled up across the little beds and fell fast asleep. That evening, the owners of the cottage returned. It was the 7 dwarfs. They had just finished a long day of work in the mines. Their names were Doc, the clever leader; Grumpy, who was always a bit cross; Happy, who was always smiling; Sleepy, who could fall asleep anywhere; Bashful, who was very shy; Sneezy, who, well, you can guess; and Dopey, the silly, silent one. Imagine their surprise when they found a beautiful princess sleeping in their home. When Snow White woke up and saw 7 little faces staring at her, she smiled kindly. "Please, may I stay here?" she asked. "I can cook and clean and sew for you." The dwarfs were overjoyed. "Of course you can stay." They all cheered. And so Snow White lived happily with the 7 dwarfs. Every morning she would pack their lunches and wave goodbye as they went off to work, and every evening she would have a warm, delicious supper waiting for them. Their little cottage was filled with laughter and songs. But back at the castle, the wicked queen went to her mirror again. "Mirror, mirror on the wall," she demanded, "who is now the fairest of them all?" The mirror replied, "Over the hills where the 7 dwarfs dwell, Snow White is alive and well, and she is still the fairest of them all." The queen was furious. She used her dark magic to disguise herself as a wrinkly old peddler woman. She then took a beautiful, shiny red apple and poisoned just one side of it. She traveled to the dwarf's cottage and found Snow White alone. "Pretty girl," the disguised queen said in a crackly voice, "taste this lovely apple. It's a magic wishing apple." Snow White was warned by the dwarfs not to talk to strangers, but the old woman seemed harmless, and the apple looked so delicious. She took just one small bite, and instantly fell to the floor in a deep death-like sleep. When the dwarfs returned home, they found their beloved Snow White lying still and pale. They cried and cried, their hearts completely broken. They couldn't bear to bury her in the cold ground, so they built a beautiful coffin out of glass and gold and placed her in it, surrounded by flowers, where they could watch over her. One day, a handsome prince from a neighboring kingdom was riding through the forest and saw the beautiful girl sleeping in the glass coffin. He was captivated by her peaceful beauty. He leaned down and, overcome with love, gently touched her. And at that moment the magic spell was broken. The piece of poisoned apple fell from Snow White's lips. Her eyes fluttered open, and she sat up, smiling at the prince. The dwarfs danced and cheered with pure joy. The prince asked Snow White to be his wife and come live with him in his castle. She said a tearful goodbye to her dearest friends, the seven dwarfs, promising to visit them often. Snow White and the prince were married, and they ruled their kingdom with the same kindness that had always been in her heart, living happily ever after. And the moral of our story tonight, my darlings, is that true beauty isn't about what a mirror says. It comes from having a kind, loving, and pure heart. Sleep tight, my little ones. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed our story, please ask your grown up to like and subscribe for more bedtime tales. Sweet dreams.